If you're planning a trip to Zadar, this video is for you. Use chapters to navigate as I explain what to see, what to pack, where to stay, and what to expect. First off, what is there to see in Zadar? Is it even worth visiting? You can see all the main sites in Zadar in one evening, so don't expect to spend too much time in the old town. Also the oldest continuously inhabited settlement in Croatia. You can see how close all the landmarks from TripAdvisor are. Here's the Church of St. Donatus, Archaeological Museum, Roman Forum, Sea Organ, Greeting to the Sun. There is history to this place, but even if you choose to explore it all, you won't need more than one day. I'm joking, but I'm also not when I say that the best way to see Zadar is from a distance. When you come to Zadar, you'll find that the region has more to offer than Zadar ever could. This place is brimming with nature, the water is crystal clear and filled with multicolored fish, shipwrecks, sea caves, and hidden coves that invite exploration. I was here in April, so swimming and snorkeling wasn't an option. So what could I do? Around Zadar, you can find waterfalls, dramatic canyons, lunar landscapes, caves that have 20 plus endemic animal species, and much more. Just look at the salamander that only lives in the Dinaric Alps, is blind and can go without food for 10 years. You won't stumble upon it alone though, only with the help of a special guide that escorts you to its hidden den for the decennial tourist sacrifice. I'm just kidding, but you might however see bottlenose dolphins or loggerhead turtles if you're lucky. There are several national parks such as Paklenice with its mountains and canyons where you can find some truly unique flora and fauna. For example, Kitaibel's feather, Velibit Balkan snow vole, which is still unstudied and is so rare there's not even a good picture online, the endemic Velibit leech, and many other curious things. Just check their very informative website I'll leave in the description, and you might find something that interests you. Then there is the Krka National Park, which is beautiful in April, and if you come here on Easter Monday before 1 PM, the entrance is free. I'm going to make a video explaining everything I know about visiting Krka, as the info online is scarce. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Some say Plitvice is much better than Krka. Some say they're somewhat equal. I haven't been to Plitvice, but what I've read is that if you're going to Plitvice before May, you're running the risk of finding yourself in a snowstorm, as the lakes themselves are high in the mountains. On the other hand, the greenery was lush in Krka. It was warmer than Zadar by a few degrees when I visited, as inland locations typically are in this area, so going there if you find yourself in Zadar in April is really a no-brainer. Another national park that you might encounter as you research Zadar is the Kornati National Park, inaccessible to visitors unless they have a boat or book an excursion, which we decided to skip because we weren't going to swim in the cold April waters, and other than that there isn't really anything special there to do that you can't find elsewhere. Speaking of swimming, don't go looking for sandy beaches in Zadar, and don't be fooled by sandy beach tags on the map. If you know what a sandy beach looks like, this isn't it. Most of the shoreline looks like this. Which is one of the reasons that a resort with its own man-made sandy beach cropped up and had immense success in the Nin area. It maintains the sandy beach for its guests and collects an entry fee from everyone else. There is one, more natural sandy beach in Nin called Queen's Beach, but to visit it, just like the resort, you would have to travel from Zadar, and if you don't have a car then it's a major pain in the ass, but we'll talk about it in the transportation chapter. If you do happen to be in the Nin area, you might be interested in visiting Nin Saltworks. It's open throughout the year. You can pay 11 euros for a guided tour or go for free on one of the open days during summer months or September. If you're interested in how sea salt is produced, then there is even an option to do some paid work for them. As in, you pay and you work. But if you're interested in nature, then it has some birds you could see there, most notably the tiny black-winged stilt. Speaking of birds, there are also supposedly good bird-watching spots around Zadar, like here at the biggest lake in Croatia, Vransko Jezero, or here at Velo i Malo Blato, which has rock partridges that are relatively rare and that some people specifically travel for, but I haven't been myself, so let me know of your experience there if you do. Velo i Malo Blato themselves are located on the island of Pag, which is known for its rough terrain, and Zrče beach, with its parties and festivals, the perfect venue for rock partridges. It's also known for its cheese, but you don't have to go there to buy it. We bought ours in Tommy's supermarket, but if I remember correctly there was also some in Plodin. Alternatively, you can go to one of Gligora's stores and ask to try them. They'll have a sheep cheese, a cow cheese, and a mixed cheese. In the souvenir shops, you will also find lots of lavender themed things, making you wonder if there's anything special about Croatian lavender. And no, there is not, but about one anyway. You can find lavender fields in plenty other European countries, but if you really want to see them in Croatia, then you better travel to Split or Dubrovnik because you'd need to go to the island of Hvar. But don't go booking tickets to Split yet. There's plenty of cool things to do in the Zadar region, which I could never do justice. Instead, I invite you to visit the single most useful website on the Zadar archipelago that lists all the attractions, trails, and activities. I'll leave the link in the description. So let's say you have a rough outline of what you want to do. Let's talk about preparing for the actual trip, and start with the weather. When traveling, I always use local agencies over the likes of AccuWeather, and I recommend the same in this case too, which would be Meteo.hr. When we were in Zadar at the end of April, it was 19 to 22 degrees Celsius with no wind during the day, very hot during the day, but pretty chilly in the evening. I was walking around comfortably in beach slippers, shorts, and a t-shirt, but by the sunset I felt pretty cold and had to put on a hoodie. There was some rain forecast every day, but in the end there wasn't any. Instead, it was sunny all the time with UV index 7, so definitely pack sunscreen. Whether you pack a swimming suit will depend on the time of the year. April is definitely too soon unless you book a hotel with a heated or indoor pool. When you look through listings, you will rarely find information on whether the pools are functioning. As a general rule, don't expect them to be before May and after September. There are some hotels that have heated pools, those will let you know right away. Also, try to book well in advance because if you wait too long, you'll have to pay the same price for a worse place. It might look like a great idea to stay in the old town with a view on the sea, but notice the big road here. If you're not passed out drunk, you'll definitely wake up from all the car noises. You won't hear any waves crashing against the shore here anyway. And as I said, the old town doesn't take much time to explore, so you really don't have to stay here. To get peace and quiet with a sea view, I advise you go further away from the city, like Petrčane or Ugljan Island. Just avoid staying in Cali if you want to enjoy your holiday, and check available transport options before you commit to a place. The city might as well not be in Europe because public transport here is in a sad state. You can't look it up on Google, the website of the bus company is a mess, and you can't use their app unless you have a Croatian phone number. For intercity buses, I have found buscroatia.com to be decent, but it won't see inner city or suburban buses. For example, if you're looking to travel from Zadar to Nin, it won't find anything, so then you have to go to Liburnija-zadar.hr, click suburban, then find Nin, and then try to figure out what it says. Just don't try buying tickets online because, well, yeah. There is only one public transport option which has a reliable website with current schedules and online tickets. It's Jadrolinija.hr for ferries, which are very punctual to boot. There are only a few buses a day from and to the airport, but fortunately there are people with white vans that'll take you to the city for the same price as the bus, €5 per person. Just make sure you get in the right one. Taxi in the middle of the day to the airport in April cost us €14. For intercity travel, you often have to rely on private companies, and there aren't many options. For example, you can't go to Paklenica on a weekend. You can go to Krka National Park, but have to return in the middle of the day at 3 p.m. Your other option is to rent a car, and there are lots of options here. The roads looked well maintained though, sometimes narrow, but it wasn't often that you'd find a steep incline or a narrow road unless you took your car to one of the islands. You could also travel around in a taxi, but be ready to spend your grandma's inheritance on that. There is no car sharing in Zadar. Now, if you watched the video without skipping, you have a pretty good idea of what to expect, so let's now talk about what not to expect. I already said this, but still, don't expect sandy beaches and reliable public transportation. Don't expect rides on public ferries to be enjoyable. Instead, you'll be like a sardine in a can. It'll be very stuffy. Don't expect sidewalks on every street, even very close to the city center and on quays. Don't expect to throw tea parties here, at least not in the rentals that don't have water filters. Like in most southern European countries, the tea selection in stores is very poor. On top of that, the water is so hard and there is so much calcium carbonate that you'll have to clean the kettle after each time you boil water in it. But it's not just tea. In one of our stays, the coffee machine was completely clogged and unusable due to this. Also, don't expect to be welcomed with open arms at cafes, hotels, Airbnbs, bakeries, or anywhere else. Zadar is probably full of nice and friendly people, but unfortunately we didn't happen to meet them. I'm from a country where people don't smile, and how are you is passive aggressive for you're in my personal space, but for me it was unexpected to see a similar attitude in a southern country. Don't expect Google or even signs at the doors to be correct about the opening times of the shops, especially during holidays. Don't expect restaurants to have websites or even active Facebook pages with menus. Don't expect vegan food. In 2025, there is no vegan aisle even in the big grocery stores, and not enough vegetarian options in restaurants, cafes, and bakeries. There's one vegan restaurant in the old town, but if you've been a vegan for longer than a month, it won't impress you or fill you. For the price, it's a very subpar option. I won't name it, but once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're willing to temporarily expand your diet to vegetarianism, then you might just survive on bureks, pizzas, and home cooking. If you come in April or another off-season month, don't expect anything that's catering to tourists to be open. Bike, kayak, boat rentals will not be operating without prior booking, swimming pools at hotels will be off limits, tours will be cancelled, bus services will be reduced. For example, I showed you the timetable of buses from Krakow a few minutes ago, where the last bus was at 3:20 p.m. But just a few days later, it seems the season begins and there's an additional bus at 5. I might be saying something obvious here, but I still think it's worth mentioning that you are always trading something off when you travel in the off-season. Okay, but now to less obvious things. As I was walking around the city, I was always looking down into the water scanning for fish, and I found this place to be the most interesting. Here, if you look down, you can see quite a few fish species even without any special equipment or having to wet your feet. For example, I saw this little fish just sort of chilling on the rock, which reminded me of the clip from one of the BBC documentaries where fish were throwing gravel at each other. I can't really tell if it's one of those sand-spitting gobies, but I like to imagine that it is. And here's a very shy fish for you. Also, randomly, there is a Sphinx statue close by, I guess because why not? I admit there are curious things to be found in Zadar itself. It is so old that nature seems to have started reclaiming it. On one of the pebbly beaches, you might see black spiky balls that resemble those you might use to exercise your feet. Well, don't step on them, they're sea urchins and apparently some people eat them. If you touch it with a stick and it doesn't move, then it's dead and will be eaten by some seagull, and if it does move, then apparently you can try and put it back into water. Behold, the delivery vehicle of Croatian Postal Service. Also, I found that like in other Balkan countries, in Croatia they also draw murals of deceased people on residential buildings, which is a sort of public mourning and a way to honor their loved ones. So if you do see some murals like that, you know what it is. But that's it from me on Zadar. If this was a useful video for you, consider throwing a tip into my jar. And if you're planning to go and have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And if you've been already, I'd love it if you shared your experience. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.